The stories we present to you are based on real events. We have deliberately changed the names of people and sometimes places. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is purely coincidental. Greater than police files, greater than the final turn. On a spring day in April of 1985, the Marrakesh contractor Samir Al-Matouk was strolling through the market in the city of Ouatsan with his wife. The market was crowded with shoppers who had come from all the villages near Ouatsan. A little girl caught the contractor's attention. She was moving from tent to tent, crying and looking hungry. He approached her. He estimated she was about 5 years old. He gave her food, and when she calmed down, he learned that she was separated from her mother. The contractor and his wife decided to try to help the little girl, hoping she might find her mother. They searched the entire market. Evening came, but they found no trace of the girl's mother. The shoppers began to leave. Finally, the couple decided to take the girl with them to Marrakesh. The contractor's wife had promised to buy her new clothes, and she would enroll her in school. In fact, the woman did not break her promise. The girl, named Rachida, enrolled in school and continued her studies until the first year of middle school. When the Marrakesh contractor returned home, he would embrace Rachida and caress her. The features of her womanhood had appeared early, when she was 10 years old, and there was nothing suspicious or questionable about it. Rachida saw the man as a father figure, and his wife saw the girl as a daughter to her father. But the developments that were to come would make all parties change their minds. One evening, in the year 1995, the contractor, Samir Al-Matouk, returned home late. He was drunk, his wife had gone to bed, and Rachida had succumbed to sleep in her room. He entered, staggering. His steps led him to Rachida's room. He opened the door. The 15-year-old girl was lying on her bed. She was wearing light clothing that revealed the details of her voluptuous body. He stood in the doorway, watching, and then, in a moment, he pounced on her like a wolf on its prey. She woke up startled. Believe me, she was looking at him with bulging eyes, and he had his hand over her mouth. That night, the man she thought was 10 years old raped her. Her father repeated the act on other nights. She was submissive, knowing that protesting meant being thrown out onto the street. She feared the street wolves, while the biggest wolf shared her home and shelter. One summer evening, she was now 16 years old. What she feared happened. The woman her mother thought was 10 years old surprised her while she was in bed with Samir. The woman gave him a choice: keep the woman she called a snake or divorce her. She knew he wouldn't choose to divorce her because his life depended on her staying up all night with him. Rachida remained silent. She knew there was no use in talking or trying to explain what had happened. She was thrown into the street where human wolves were more vicious and deadly. She was a young and beautiful girl, and so the men of lust passed her around night after night. As the months passed, she became one of the well-known street girls in Marrakesh. She took the name Salwa al-Wazaniya for herself. The police arrested her many times and imprisoned her. In truth, every time she was released from prison, she returned. Her sworn enemy was the head of the morality squad in the police, Brigadier General Abdul Aziz al-Bahri. He was a strict and resolute man who showed no leniency in pursuing the girls who worked on the streets. We nicknamed him the Calamity Brigadier General because of his severity and the resulting arrests. Months passed, and those years Rachida spent in the Marrakesh contractor's house are now a painful memory. Despite her suffering on the streets and her constant shifting between clients, Rachida hadn't lost much of her natural beauty. Now in her 20s, she was a fully feminine young woman with a special allure for that stage of her life. She began to avoid the streets, perhaps aware of her own beauty. Her clients were now from the wealthy class, both local and foreign. She managed to acquire significant wealth, but she hadn't forgotten the Calamity Brigadier General. Salwa al-Wazani now had connections with people in important positions, and so she seized the opportunity and worked to have the Calamity Brigadier General transferred from Marrakesh. After a short time, Brigadier General Abdul Aziz al-Bahri succeeded in his transfer. Aziz al-Bahri, after being appointed to Safi, bought a luxurious house in a respectable neighborhood in Marrakesh a few years later. The shadow of the troublesome colonel no longer haunted the street girls of Safi. The colonel's days were passing smoothly, and the years were advancing towards retirement. He began to suffer from health problems, but what had a devastating impact on him was the loss of his wife and life partner. He was living alone after his daughter married and his son left to study abroad. Therefore, we see him requesting a transfer to Marrakesh, even without being assigned duties. He longed to return to his city. His request was granted, and fate would have it that he was assigned to the security district where Rachida, now known as Salwa al-Wazani, lived. He often glanced at her as she got out of her luxurious car. She provoked him even more when she waited for the driver to open and close the door for her after she sat in the back seat. But the colonel could find no way to reach the woman he had so often pursued and arrested. He knew that only weeks separated him from retirement. The Hajj season arrived, and he was among the police officers who were chosen to travel to the Holy Land. The General Directorate of National Security entrusted him with leading the Hajj delegation from the national security family. As much as he was happy with this honor, his sadness was profound because his wife had passed away and would not be able to accompany him to perform the Hajj rituals as they had both dreamed. The Brigadier General immersed himself in preparing for the journey, which he considered the trip of a lifetime. Salwa al-Wazani had settled into a relationship with a wealthy Saudi man who had invited her a few days earlier to visit him in Jeddah, where he resided. Her departure coincided with the departure of the Hajj groups to the Holy Land. The woman paid little heed to the circumstances. She wore her finest clothes, garments that left glimpses of her beauty. The airport was crowded with pilgrims. The white of the pilgrims' garments dominated all other colors.